Liam lived a very predictable life in the quiet town of Willow Creek. Every morning, he woke up at the same time, ate the same breakfast, and went to his job at the local accounting firm. His evenings were usually spent reading or watching documentaries. He enjoyed his routine, but lately, a feeling of sameness had started to settle over him, making him wonder if there was more to life than just comfortable habits. One Saturday, while cleaning his apartment, he found an old tourist brochure for the Whispering Trails, a network of hiking paths in the nearby mountains. He had seen it many times, but had never considered actually going. The pictures showed green forest, clear streams, and distant peaks. A sudden urge to do something different, something completely spontaneous, filled him. He decided then and there that he would go hiking the next day. He spent the rest of the afternoon preparing, checking the weather forecast, packing a small backpack with water and snacks, and finding his old hiking boots. He felt a mix of excitement and a little bit of apprehension about stepping so far outside his usual routine. He hadn't hiked in years, and the idea of being alone in the wilderness was both appealing and slightly daunting. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly and the air was crisp. Liam drove to the trailhead, a small parking area at the edge of the forest. Several other cars were already there, and a few hikers were stretching or adjusting their gear. He felt a little out of place among them, with their professional-looking equipment and confident smiles. He took a deep breath, adjusted his backpack, and started walking. The path was well marked at first, winding gently through tall pine trees. The sounds of the town quickly faded, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the chirping of birds. Liam felt a sense of peace he hadn't realized he was missing. He walked for about an hour, enjoying the fresh air and the beautiful scenery. The trees were so tall they almost touched the sky, and sunlight filtered through the branches, creating dancing patterns on the forest floor. Suddenly, the path was blocked by a large, fallen tree. It was too big to climb over easily, and too wide to go around without stepping far into the dense bushes. This unexpected obstacle made him pause. He looked around, wondering if he should turn back or try to find a way past it. He felt a slight frustration, but also a strange sense of challenge. Just as he was considering giving up, he heard a voice. "Need a hand?" A woman with bright, friendly eyes and a wide smile was standing on the other side of the tree. She had a small axe in her hand and was wearing sturdy hiking clothes. "It fell last night," she explained. "I am Alara. I live nearby and often clear these paths." Alara quickly showed him a small, less obvious path around the tree, which she had already started to clear. They walked together for a while, chatting easily. Alara told him about the different plants and animals in the forest, and Liam shared his surprise at how much he was enjoying the hike. She mentioned a hidden waterfall Whispering Falls, that very few people knew about. Liam's curiosity was immediately piqued. "It's a bit off the main trail," Alara warned. "The path isn't always clear, but it's truly beautiful." Liam thanked her for the information and for the help with the tree. For a while, their paths diverged, with Alara continuing on her way to clear more trails, and Liam deciding to follow the main path for a bit longer. However, the idea of the hidden waterfall stayed with him. After another hour of walking, he saw a small, almost invisible trail leading off to the right, marked only by a few stacked stones. He hesitated for a moment, remembering Alara's warning, but his desire for the adventure was stronger. He took the last marked path, feeling a thrill of excitement. The new path was indeed more challenging. It was narrower, steeper in places, and overgrown with bushes. He had to step carefully over roots and rocks, and sometimes he lost sight of the trail completely, relying on the stacked stones Elara had mentioned. The forest here felt wilder, more untouched, and the air was cooler. He could hear the distant sound of water, which encouraged him to keep going. He walked for what felt like a long time, and the sound of the waterfall seemed to get no closer. The trees grew thicker, and the light began to dim. Even though it was still early afternoon, he checked his phone for a map, but the signal was weak, and the GPS struggled to pinpoint his exact location. A feel of disorientation started to creep in, making him wonder if he had made a mistake. He stopped, took a big deep breath, and tried to listen carefully. The sound of water was definitely there, but it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. He pulled out his compass, which he had packed on a whim, and tried to orient himself. He remembered Elara saying the falls were generally to the northeast of this section of the main trail. With a renewed sense of determination, he chose a direction and continued. He pushed through some thick bushes, his clothes getting caught on branches. He could feel a few drops of rain beginning to fall, and the sky above the trees looked darker. He knew he needed to find the falls, or at least a clearer path, soon. He walked for another 20 minutes, his legs starting to feel tired. The rain became a steady drizzle, making the ground slippery. He almost tripped over a root, catching himself just in time. This minor mishap reminded him to be even more careful. He was starting to question his decision to leave the main trail, but he was too far in to return back now. Then, through a break in the trees, he saw it, a faint, weathered wooden sign, almost completely covered by moss, with two words carved into it, Whispering Falls. His heart leaped with excitement. He pushed through the last few meters of dense foliage, and the forest opened up into a small, hidden clearing. Before him, the waterfall cascaded down a rocky cliff, its water shimmering in the dim light. It wasn't enormous, but it was incredibly beautiful and peaceful. The water fell into a clear, cool pool, and the air around it was fresh and damp. The sound of falling water was like a gentle whisper, living up to its name. It was truly magnificent. Liam stood there for a long time, simply admiring the view. He felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had faced a challenge, pushed past his comfort zone, and found something truly special. The feeling of the cool mist on his face was refreshing, and all the tiredness from the hike seemed to disappear. He took out his phone to take a picture, but decided against it. The moment was for him alone. As he looked around the clearing, he noticed something else. Tucked away behind a large, moss-covered boulder, almost hidden from view, was a small wooden chest. It looked old and weathered, similar to the sign he had just found. His heart began to beat faster again. He approached it cautiously, his mind racing with possibilities. The chest was heavy and felt solid. There was no lock, but the lid was tightly sealed. He carefully pried it open. Inside, nestled on a bed of dried leaves, were two items: a thick, leather-bound journal and a small, antique brass compass. It was a surprising revelation, far more interesting than any treasure he might have imagined. He picked up the journal. Its pages were filled with elegant handwriting, faded by time. It appeared to be the diary of an early explorer or settler of Willow Creek, documenting his journeys through the very trails life had just linked. The compass was old, but still functional, pointing north with a steady needle. He felt an immediate connection to the person who had left these items here. Just then, he heard footsteps. Lara emerged from the trees, looking surprised to see him there. "You found it," she exclaimed, her eyes widening when she saw the open chest. I have heard stories about a hidden chest, but no one has ever found it." Liam explained how he had followed directions found the sign. He showed her the journal and the compass. Lara carefully picked up the journal. The expression was turning thoughtful. "This must be from old Mr. Henderson," she said softly. He was a local legend, an explorer who mapped many of these trails, almost a century ago. He disappeared one day, and people always wondered what happened to him. She seemed very enthusiastic about the discovery. They sat by the waterfall, and Liam read some of the journal entries aloud. Mr. Henderson had written about his love for the wilderness, his observations of nature, and his desire to preserve the beauty of the trails for future generations. He had hidden the chest as a way to share his discoveries, his passion with someone who truly appreciated the mountains. The significance of the find grew with every word. Lara suggested that they take the journal and compass to the Willow Creek Historical Society. "This is a piece of our town's history," she said. "Mr. Henderson's family will be so happy to know his legacy has been found." Liam agreed, feeling a sense of responsibility for the old explorer's belongings. Back in town, the Historical Society was thrilled. The director, an elderly woman named Mrs. Davis, recognized Mr. Henderson's handwriting immediately. She had heard the legend but never believed the chest was real. The journal provided invaluable insights into the early days of Willow Creek and its natural environment. It was a truly remarkable discovery. Liam and Lara became local heroes. The story of their find was published in the town newspaper, and the people started visiting the Historical Society to see Mr. Henderson's journal and compass. Liam, no longer just a quiet accountant, found a new purpose in life. He started volunteering at the Historical Society, helping to organize Mr. Henderson's documents, and even leading guided hikes to the Whispering Falls. His life was no longer predictable. He spent weekends exploring new trails, often with Lara, who became a good friend. He discovered a passion for local history and conversation. The once quiet town of Willow Creek seemed more vibrant to him now, full of untold stories and hidden wonders. He realized that sometimes the greatest adventures are found not by traveling far, but by looking closely at the world around you and daring to step off the familiar path.